Hello, hello. It says we're live streaming.
That's right. It says
It's
we're live.
exciting.
Got that message too. Yes, here we are.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm just waiting for it to show up over here. I do a little bit of tap dancing. Are we there? Is it working?
It's
Looks like
you're
it's
never quite sure exactly
I
when it starts.
know. Hello, are we live? All right, I'm so excited to be here. It's Dr. Ginny Trierweiler, head of Slender for Good, and I wanted to invite Reverend Marcia Grace to come talk with us because she's an expert on stress, and I'm going to introduce her in a minute. But the reason why this is so important is I find I was doing so much stress eating and drinking, even as a psychologist who's helping people with stress management. These had become such defaults for me that it's almost like every other way I had for handling stress had disappeared. And I find the same thing with a lot of the women I work with. It's like, okay, I know I should do something else, but I'm so used to stress eating, stress drinking, etc. So I'm really excited to have you here to help us figure out how can we find a healthier, happier way that's more in integrity with how we want to live, right? So
Absolutely.
I'm so excited that I met you and that you're available to talk about this. So to introduce Reverend Marcia Grace, I love her name. She's an interfaith minister and author of Calm, Creative, Joyful Lessons in Transforming Your Life. And she's spent decades nurturing people on their spiritual journey by teaching the principles of A Course in Miracles, which is a metaphysical discipline some people may have heard of, and it changed her life. So teaches how to find calm in the midst of chaos. So thank you so much for being here, Reverend Marcia Grace.
You're welcome.
That's a mouthful.
I am delighted to be here. I'm sorry you didn't tell people about my chickens and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I didn't tell them about your chickens. Go for it. Tell us about your chickens.
Well, I just figured this is a heavy topic. We want to keep it
Yes.
light. So I do love my chickens. I have two little chickens, and they give me green and pink eggs, believe it or not.
Oh,
And I love that. I just love that. That's
yeah.
one of my stress reducers, by the way, is
Oh,
playing
yeah.
with my chickens because they're
Yeah.
funny. They are
Yes.
funny little creatures. They run around and do funny things, and they're smart enough. People think chickens are stupid, but they're
Yeah.
not so stupid because they know when I shake this particular container, they're going to get a goodie, and they run
Right.
like back and forth. Like, oh yeah, I'm ready. Come on, quick, give it to me. And so anyway, they're a lot of fun.
That sounds
Okay, now
that
that we got the fun part out of the way.
Yeah, well, I really want to start by asking you because you suggested this title. You
Mm,
don't really want that pint of ice cream. Find out who does. And I'm so curious what that means to you and how that can
okay.
help us.
All right. Well, okay. So I'm coming at this whole eating thing from a very different direction
Yeah.
because I believe in practical spirituality. I teach a spiritual discipline, but it's based in psychology, believe it or not, because
Mm,
it came through two psychologists. So it's very practical, but it's also very deep in its
mm,
implications of where our problems begin,
mm.
including the problem of stress eating. I mean,
Yeah.
the eating, the stress eating is not the problem. It's a
Mm,
symptom. It's a
mm,
symptom of a deeper problem. Well, as I said, it's a symptom of a problem, which is something in our unconscious, and this
mm,
as a psychologist, of course, I don't have to tell you this, um, that that is that is keeping us hostage to
mm,
a habit that
mm,
is not serving us well. Now, the reason I say find out who does, the who
mm,
that does want you to eat that ice cream is the part of you. See, my spiritual discipline teaches us that we have sort of two sides to our mind. Okay,
mm,
there's this part that loves us, and then there's the
mm.
other part that doesn't love us.
Ooh.
That's the ego. Woo.
Okay.
So the ego is the part, just for a namesake. I mean, it has nothing to do with Freud or anything else, but it's the part that makes us see ourselves as separate entities. who have
Mm.
struggles and pains and difficulties and suffering and, and all the, all of the multitude of emotions that we experience. And so that part is trying to defend us, trying to help
Mm.
us in the way it knows how. And
Right.
its way is a defense mechanism, or many defense mechanisms, but many of those are not helpful.
Uh-huh.
And one of them is eating too much. We eat to survive, right? But there's a tripwire there that gets
Mm.
knocked off, and then we're eating more. We don't have to eat that much to survive, but we keep
Mm.
doing it.
Mhm.
So there's that part of our mind. That's the one
Mm.
who does want us to eat the ice cream. So
Okay.
what we want to do is we want to shift our focus over to the part of our mind that
Okay.
does love us and
Right.
wants us to um, take care of ourselves, do the
Yeah.
right thing, be healthy, be happy, feel good in our bodies, enjoy life, and not worry about stuff that we don't have any reason to worry about. I mean, people
Mm.
tend to worry about things that they have absolutely no control over.
Yeah.
I can worry about, that we might have an earthquake next week. I mean, but does it serve me well? I mean,
Right.
I'm not going to live in California if that's the case, for sure. But so and that's, if we really look at our thoughts, and this is what part of what I do is I train people how to look at their thoughts
Okay.
to see, what am I thinking?
Right.
Because if I can really notice and become an observer, you kind of step back, because you don't want to get
Yeah.
involved in the thought. You just want to notice it. You just want to
Yeah.
see, oh my goodness, I keep thinking about, walking to the refrigerator, or I
Yeah.
keep thinking about, whatever it is, ordering a pizza. I don't know, whatever it may
Right.
be. And we don't get below that. We don't get underneath
Mm.
that
Mhm.
that thought to a deeper thought, which says, I'm feeling stressed right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm and let me look at that. Let me see, what is it that's
Mm.
bothering me
Yeah.
that maybe I can do something about.
Love that.
Let
So,
me confer with my higher self.
yeah,
You know?
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So just getting out of the stress, it helps to notice what your thoughts are
Right.
first and just not be worried about them or too engaged with them, but just notice them, observe them.
Observe them. Yes, to become an
Yeah.
observer, because you could, if you notice the thought and then you get yourself all guilty and stressed out because you're having that thought, well, that's not helpful. The idea
Right.
is to recognize it is merely a thought. It
Right.
has no power. It has nothing. It can't do anything to you unless
Yes.
you engage with it.
Yes.
Right. So,
It's so interesting because I feel like I had the idea that I'm having the thought that I need a drink, therefore I need a drink. And the next second I was having a drink.
right.
And almost like I felt like it was in charge of me.
Exactly. We don't give ourselves permission to be in charge of our thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so simple. And yet nobody teaches us this, so
Oh,
we don't
yeah.
know. And it's again, it's nothing to feel guilty about, or to be
Right.
disappointed in yourself, but to say, I didn't know that. Now I'm
Right.
educated. Now I can start to work with those ideas. And again, it's not going to happen overnight for most of
Yeah.
us,
Right.
because I mean, once you develop a habit, boy, it's like not
Yeah.
easy to get rid of it. So it really does take willingness. And I'm sure, I
Mm.
know what you're working with your people is something you do over a period of time, because people
Yeah.
need, we all need this. We all need structure. We all
Yeah.
need accountability. We all
Right.
need someone we can lean on, and know they're there
Right.
for us, a support
Yes.
system, right? So
Yes. Oh, I love how you said that. So it's interesting that you point that out in this context because I feel like the idea people have is, okay, I know there's 16,000 things I can do to reduce stress. I can get a massage, I can meditate, I can do yoga, la 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 la. But it's just so much easier to have something to eat or drink. And in those moments, I feel so much pressure to just do something. But you're suggesting you need to find some practices, I think, that that you can use rather that take the place of that habit that your lower mind is leading you to.
Yeah, yeah. And another way of putting it is to realize that, well, first of all, am I willing? Again,
Mm.
we have so
Mm.
much stress, and why is it hard to get rid of the stress?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why? Why? And the
Yeah.
answer is because we think we deserve it.
Oh, that's
We
interesting.
want it. We actually encourage it because
Wow.
we believe we deserve it. And that's from all of the lessons we've been taught from the time we were knee high to a grasshopper. You should pardon the expression, but
Yeah, it's a good
now
one.
I'm showing my age, right? I'm showing my age. But yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing. We have been taught not to love ourselves, not to appreciate our abilities, our
Uh,
talents, our uniqueness, and our
yeah.
and rather to focus on the negativity. So again, here's where the choice is, and it really takes a willingness, and nobody can give that to you. You have to
Yeah.
decide it. It's really a question of making a
Mm.
decision. It's so simple.
Oh,
Yes or
that's so
no.
good.
Yes
Yeah.
or no. Do I want peace? Do I want
Yeah.
to look good? Do I want to feel good? I'll tell you a funny story. I was bringing some stuff to the thrift store the other day, and I walked in with with a bag of some stuff, and I said, "Oh, I want to drop this stuff off." And the fellow was there, and she said, "Oh yeah, you can just leave it on the counter." So I did, and then he turns to his another person in there, and he says, "Well, what are we going to order for lunch?" So he says, "Oh, I think I'll have my usual ham on rye and blah 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 blah." So me and my big mouth, I can't mind my own business. So I said to him, I said, what's that ham on and going to be? Ham and Swiss is what he said.
Oh.
So I said, what's this ham and Swiss going to be on?
Uh-huh.
And he says, he looks at me like I'm nuts.
Yeah.
On
What do you
bread,
think?
what else, So so I said, so he says, on bread, of course. So I said, on bread. I said, and let me ask you a question, because I could see he was an older gentleman. Usually people in thrift stores are
Mm.
volunteers. This was at the
Yeah.
hospital. And so he says, yeah, I've got some aches and pains. I said, well, let me tell you something. When I gave up the rice, the pasta, the
Mm.
noodles, the potato chips, all the white stuff. When I
Yeah.
gave up all of that stuff, my aches and pains went away.
I know, right?
And he
Yeah.
looked at me. He looked at me, and I said, listen, try it.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt you. You can only
Like that
benefit.
that willingness attitude of just try something. Yeah,
Right.
something different.
He said,
Yeah.
so you know what he said to me? He says, I don't want to give up my pasta. It's my favorite
Right.
thing.
Right.
I said, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What
Okay.
if you knew that was the choice, right? Yeah. If you knew that giving up pasta would give you no more pain, maybe you'd do it. But you don't believe it because there's just too much out there.
And maybe you don't want to do it, and that's
Maybe you don't
okay
want to.
too.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd rather take the I don't know, whatever you take for pain, the Tylenol, which of course is
Right.
going to throw off your microbiome,
I
and
know.
then you're going
Yeah.
to have all kinds of digestive issues. So then you have to take, what's that stuff you take for your stomach? I don't know, whatever. And before you
Probiotics.
know it,
Yeah.
you're taking, no pill. People don't take probiotics; they take pills.
Oh,
I mean,
there's
how
always
many
a
people?
pill. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm joking around, but
Yeah.
most the amount of people who know about probiotics is probably a
Oh.
1% of the
Oh,
population.
really? Yeah.
Well, I mean, most people are too busy, they're too involved,
Yeah.
and I understand that. I understand
Right.
that. It's hard if you're not taught it in school as a young person, it's really hard to
Right.
learn these things later on, especially a lot of this stuff is relatively new anyway. This whole
Yeah.
thing about the connection between the stomach and the brain is
Yeah.
really very new. So
Right. Well,
the
that brings me to a question I was going to ask you. You
yeah,
had mentioned there's a number one secret that you see to releasing cravings. What is that
yes.
number one secret?
Well, it's learning, believe again, I'm coming from another direction here, right?
Yeah.
This is not This is not going to say, oh, go, read a book or take a walk, or, it's not going to be
Yeah.
anything like that. Because the reason, I mean, the way you do it is by learning to forgive yourself.
Mm. Mm.
Forgive
Mm.
yourself for all of your, mistakes,
Mm.
all of the things you think you did wrong or you should have done that you didn't do,
Mm.
or all that junk that's in the past. See, this is the
Yeah.
secret. This is another aspect of the secret, which is that if we live in the past, most of our thoughts concerning the past are not positive.
Right.
They're about the stuff that didn't go right.
Right.
So if we can eliminate that, just
Yeah.
think about how different our life would be, because
Wow.
we can then be in the moment and
Uh,
not bring that to the future. Because again,
okay.
that's the continuum for most of us who are unfamiliar with this idea, is that our past thoughts inform our future, and we never spend any time in the moment. The
Mm.
moment, this moment that we're together, is the
Mm.
most precious, beautiful moment that is.
So I
Because
think what I hear you saying is we're going to have a lot less stress if we take charge of our brain and we focus in the moment and forgive ourselves for the past stuff. I love that you're saying that because
Mhm.
I have found that that was really true for me. It's been true for so many women I work with, that we think we got to beat ourselves up for what we're not doing right. Right. I know
Mhm.
I should eat healthy, but I don't know what's wrong with me. I just get tired. I get stressed. I just have to. And there's this energy that feels so heavy that all they want to do is eat and drink at those moments. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating that you say one way out of cravings and stress is to start with forgiving yourself.
Right.
Like,
Right.
do you have a practice that you teach people for how to do that?
I certainly do. Funny you should
Yeah.
ask.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, it's important, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I started out as a young woman. Um, I could probably had ADD or ADHD or whatever you want to call it,
Really?
because I was hyperactive. Let's put it that way. I
Uh-huh.
never sat still. I was a nervous wreck, type 1 personality,
Okay, yeah,
and looking over my shoulder, paranoid,
yeah.
they're out to get me, whatever. Why don't those people
That's
like me?
hard to imagine.
Oh, it's true. It's
Yeah.
absolutely true. And then I found my spiritual path, which changed my life. Absolutely
Ah,
changed my life. I went to a yoga class
uh,
when my kids were little, when I probably about a year after my daughter was born. And I went to this yoga class, and the yoga teacher was so laid back. And I'm looking at him saying, John, have you always been like that? You're so,
yeah.
you've got this calm attitude. And he says, oh no, he says, I started doing something called A Course in Miracles, and it's
Uh-huh.
changed my life.
Yeah.
So I said, wow. And, it's like a bell rang inside
Yeah.
of me. I said, what is it? So he said, well, you know what? They're doing a thing here at this center where I was taking the yoga class on Thursday. Why don't you come back and you can listen to talk about it. So I couldn't wait to get back there. I knew I had to be there on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I got back there, walked into the room, didn't know a soul in the room. And I said, these are my people. I'm home.
You could just feel that.
I knew it. Yes, I knew
Yeah.
it. And that was 40 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been teaching it ever since. Well,
Yeah.
after I studied with my teachers and continued to study until my teacher passed in 2013.
Uh-huh.
But so anyway, so that's what happened to me. And as a result of learning the principles of the course, which are things like forgive yourself, like
Mm-hmm.
let's let go of the past because it's not certain. You already did that. It's done. You can't
Yeah.
change
Right.
it.
Right.
So what the heck is the point of
Right.
dragging it along with you like a ball and chain? Let it
Right.
go. Be
Yeah.
free. Love yourself. So it sounds silly when you say it, right? But it really takes someone to really just put it straight out there so that you can look at it and realize that's what you're doing. Because we don't
Yeah.
even realize we're doing these things until someone makes us aware,
Yeah.
you
Well, I
know?
think it's so true that, like, just to tell people, for people even to tell me, you're going to have to love yourself and give yourself grace and compassion to move forward with your healthy eating and drinking journey. I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. Like, I don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
I don't know what you're talking about. You know,
Mhm.
that's just how some people are. But you realize there's like a practice, there's a discipline to achieving that, loving yourself, and then using it as a springboard for growth and for happiness, right?
Yeah. Have you ever heard anybody say, I can't help it, it's just the way I am? You
Oh,
ever heard that?
totally. Yes,
Right? Like all the time?
all the time.
All
Yeah.
the right. And so where that comes from, it's a defense mechanism. Now,
Mm,
if you can say to your client, or I could say to my client, um, when you say that, I want you to just step back for a minute
yeah.
and say to yourself, that's a defense mechanism. And
Uh,
it's covering up
mm,
something else that I'm a little nervous to look at.
uh,
But the good news is I'm in control of this.
yeah.
Nobody else is in control. So if I'm willing to bite the bullet and
Yeah.
do it, and look at this
Yeah.
terrible, fearful, horrible thing,
Yeah.
guess what? I may actually let it go. I might
Right.
actually be able to do something about it. And that is, ah, such an
That's
incredible, I mean,
like this relief.
it's like, like just tons come off your back. I mean, I can
Yes.
remember literally the day that I really owned that idea. And
Mm,
it's like I felt 5 inches taller, so my
yes.
back straightened up. I just felt my chest puffed out. I said, wow, I'm in control here.
Uh,
And it felt so incredible.
I love that.
Yeah.
I always say one of the things that shifted for me, and I don't know exactly when or what the process was, but I went from feeling like I can't help eating and drinking these things. I can't help it, to it's 100% my choice what I put in my body. When I finally felt that, it became so easy to do what actually works instead of this conflict, constant conflict with myself.
Well, those are the two parts. See, now it's clear, right? I hope
Yeah,
why that there's that internal conversation going on.
yeah,
Yes, I should. No, I shouldn't.
yeah,
And it's going on in everybody's head all the time. The thing is, we don't observe it.
yeah,
We were in it, but we're not
yes,
observing it. So when you can step back and just
yeah.
watch the chaos, it's like you go to a prize fight and you see, you see two people pounding on each other. You can get up and walk away. Nobody's keep making you stay there. you know
I love that. It's funny because I know this is super, super important, and I bring it in when I'm working with people, women who want to lose weight and change their eating. Um, and I always feel a little apologetic asking them to slow down and look at their thoughts.
Oh my goodness.
It's
Don't be
like it's
apologetic.
what's going to be super valuable. But I feel like there's that part of us that wants to maintain our habits is like, what are you doing? Why quit thinking so hard. Just do what you've always done. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But the thing is, you say, it's important to say, I'm here for you when the fear comes up. I know that it's fear that is
Yeah.
behind that feeling that it's so hard to
Yeah.
change. That's all it is. It's fear. And
Yes.
fear of what? What's the worst that could happen?
That's a good question.
I
Yeah.
mean, really, what is the worst that could happen if you confront your fear?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
really think you're going to die? Do you really think so? I don't think so.
Right. I
I mean,
like that. I like the playful kind of approach to questioning that. I think it helps because, yeah, oh, there I am doing that thought again. Dang it. I have, ugh, then I just stay in this heavy arguing with myself place. The one that I like to do is I hear you saying if we spend a little time thinking about what we're going to eat, that it's going to be terrible. This is terrible, having to spend a little time thinking about what we're going to eat. I hear you. It's okay.
I like
Nothing
to think, yeah,
terrible's happening.
that's right. I like to think of it as an adventure. In other
Ah,
words, if I think one of the things that I want people to or may not know, of course they don't know it about me, but I'm going to tell them, and that is that I love to read cookbooks. I read them
yeah.
in bed at night because that prepares me for the next day to eat
Uh,
well,
uh-huh.
and I really enjoy that because to me, it's like an adventure, reading a new cookbook, reading trying out new foods. Life is about learning, isn't it? It's about
Yeah.
exploring and being adventurous and
Yeah.
finding new ways to do things. That's what gives us joy and energy and vibrance in life. So
Yeah.
pick up a new cookbook, for goodness sakes, and
Yeah.
just get into it. And a good, healthy cookbook, obviously.
I know it's
I'm
tricky.
Yeah, and well, I'm sure you can supply some good choices for people, and then and enjoy, going to the store and buying those
Mm.
new foods or
Yeah.
condiments or whatever they are. I mean, for me, chopping and peeling and slicing is meditative, and
Yeah.
doing that in the kitchen, I am actually allowing my mind to be in the moment, because I got to watch the
Right.
knife, make sure I don't
Yeah.
cut my finger off. And but so that takes away the need that I'm going to be thinking about something in the past, because I'm really focusing on what I'm doing. So now my
Yeah.
mind is open.
Yeah.
Don't have the TV on. Turn
Ah.
off the TV.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Okay, because you've always got noise coming in, so there's always external stuff coming in. And what is it generally? Is it good news?
It's
Is it
not
telling you how
usually.
wonderful you are?
Right.
Is it telling you how powerful? I mean, today's International Women's Day, is it
Yes.
not?
Yeah.
Hey, women out there, you
Yay.
are beautiful. You are fantastic.
You
You
can
are,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, listening to the TV or, the radio, whatever you're listening to, a podcast. I mean, unless it's NPR, but anyway,
Or me, or
or
yeah.
or something
Right.
positive, right? Of course.
Right.
So,
I
yeah,
think that's a really good point about stress, because you got to think about what you're letting into your head and your heart day in and day out
mhm.
with the media, because it can be very helpful or it can be very destructive and distracting, right?
Well, they say if it bleeds, it leads. So that's what most of
Yes.
the news is. The news is
So-
negative. It's about,
yeah.
oh my God, I'm so glad it wasn't me. I
Right.
mean, that's
Yes.
that's generally the kind of news we're hearing, or at least a
Yes.
lot of it is. And I
Yeah.
I don't I don't I don't subscribe to that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not the way I want to live, and I can make that choice. See, that's what I have control over. I
Okay.
don't have control over the weather. I don't have
Yeah.
control over, what my neighbor's going to do. I don't have control over the politics or the government, or I don't know, any of those other things. I
Yeah.
don't have control over that. So I'm not going to really spend much time worrying about it, because it doesn't serve me. If
Yeah.
if I'm guided, if my inner guide, and this is what I teach people, you learn
Uh-huh.
to listen to your inner guide. And if your
Mm.
inner guide says, go make up a sign and go march out there about whatever it is you want to march on, then I'm going to do it. Right.
Yeah.
But if I have no, if I'm not guided to be involved in that particular thing, and I'm sitting around worrying about it,
Yeah.
what am I doing to myself?
Right, that you're choosing a life that you don't realize you're choosing, that's miserable. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love the point about willingness and choice. I feel like a lot of women, when they first come to me, they're like, I don't want to have to think too much about my eating. I don't want to have to weigh and measure things. I don't want to chop. And, so there's all the I don't want to do anything different behaviors, which is where we can kind of start. And is this going to be so hard? And is this going to be suffering? Because they've had a lot of suffering with weight loss approaches and dieting. So so I feel like you're inviting them into treating it like an adventure, like I'm learning. How can I enjoy the moments of chopping if I'm going to have more moments of chopping?
Yeah. I mean, to me, and I don't, I live alone. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So for me, it's, I'm doing it for myself. But if
Yeah,
you have a partner, or you have kids, or you
yeah,
have neighbors that you bring in to eat, whatever, whoever these people are that are eating with you, if you are cooking for other people, just think about the influence that you are having on their health and
yes,
their good, on their being
yes.
healthy and happy and whatever. Because when you're healthy, you're happy, or at least
It's
there's a good
it's a
chance you're going to
big
be.
part. It's such
Yeah,
a big part.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to help certainly
I
a
can't
lot.
believe how much my mood changed when I changed my eating, my sleep, everything. I just feel like
Hmm.
20 years younger. It's pretty massive.
It is. It's all interconnected. Everything is
Yes.
interconnected. So, something I really want to stress is the way to be truly stress-free is
Mm,
when there are three things going on. When your
okay.
thoughts and your
Mm,
words and your deeds all line up.
okay. Yes.
Now that is a big nut to chew. I mean,
Right.
I get it, and we're all. It's a journey. It's a journey. It's not
Yes.
something that you can accomplish overnight.
I
I'm
love that.
still working on it, and I'm at this 40
Yeah.
years. Whatever. I mean, all my life. But so it's not that we should expect that. Oh, been there, done that. It's a
Right.
process. It's a process. But
Right.
the thing is, it's just like I couldn't do algebra before I did,
Yeah.
1 and 1 is 2. And so we have to, we're progressing. And if you can look back and say, oh, now I know 1 and 1 is 2, I can go on
Right.
to, doing,
Right.
the other thing. And so we're growing and we're feeling good about ourselves because now I'm on the next level. I got to the
Right.
next place. And so that's to have that sense of achievement makes you feel
Mm,
good. And again, it's all of those things work in concert. So and then we begin to be more honest with ourselves because we lie to
mm,
ourselves like crazy. Oh my God,
yes.
so when your words and when your thought, so let's say I have a thought. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
start from the beginning. I have a thought that says, I want that chocolate bar.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat that chocolate bar. Okay, so there's the thought. Now the action is, so then the next thought comes, it says, but I shouldn't eat that chocolate bar.
Right.
Should not eat that chocolate
Right.
bar. Okay, so now we have conflict. Yay, what else is new?
Yeah.
Okay, so so now comes the action. Screw it, I'm eating the chocolate bar.
Yeah.
We eat the chocolate bar. What do we have now? Guilt,
Yeah. Right.
which we're going to instantly deny. Well, I
Right.
deserve the chocolate bar.
Right.
It's not so big. It's only a
Not
thousand
that
calories,
bad.
whatever it is. So you know, and we rationalize. We rationalize why it was okay to eat the chocolate bar. Okay, so now the thoughts and the words, did they line up? The thought, I should
It-
eat the chocolate. They couldn't because there was a conflict, right?
right.
But then
Right.
we had so then we had the action. And now, um, so the deed, we had, so all of those things don't
Mhm.
line up because because you said to yourself, I shouldn't,
Shouldn't.
but you went and did it anyway.
Right.
See, so
Yeah.
so that's the problem. Okay, so we
Right.
see the problem
I,
and
I just want to highlight this. So,
Mhm.
stress really comes when your thoughts and words and deeds are not lining up. It's not a matter of, here's some little tip that you're going to embrace and it's going to make your stress go away. Like, I'm going to get a massage once a week and that's going to make my stress go away. No, it's a little more of a working on your own thoughts and words and deeds lining up. And that's a great way to live anyway.
it's a moment to moment joyful journey. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's
Yeah.
a journey, it's an experience, it's something we can and it's like everything else in life. When you're learning something new, you're
Yeah.
going to get on a bicycle for the first time, right? You're going to fall down a few times.
Right.
So but you get up and you get on again. You don't beat
Yeah.
yourself up. What kind of a stupid jerk am I? I can't ride this bicycle. No,
Right.
you don't say that. You say, all right, I have to get up and try again. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing. So, again, if we're in the present moment, we're not going to hang
Mm.
on to the guilt. We're not going to
Yeah.
fault ourselves. We're going to just say, try again.
Right. That's
And
so important. Taking that,
yeah,
I'm just learning here. I'm still a human being, so I'm still learning. Well, I would love if you would share with people, like if they wanted to get more help from you on how to become stress-free, what do you offer for people that helps?
well, right now, immediately today, I can offer my quick fix for stress relief,
Okay.
which is a little book or it's not a book really. It's just, a few tips on a couple of pages, but
Okay.
with some fancy pictures and stuff, just to make it
Yeah.
palatable. But it's really four steps
Okay.
that in the moment when you're feeling that stress, that if you can put this into practice, and again, you have to
Practice
work
it.
at it, you have
Yeah.
to try. But I'll tell you, I did this talk once in the audience, and I had someone say, would someone like to try it? And she got up and I said, okay, here's the first thing you do and the second thing and whatever. And then we're waiting. And then all of a sudden, because she's standing there with her eyes closed, and all of a sudden her eyes fly open. She says, I did it. She had the awareness, which is what I'm
Oh,
trying to get people to do, to
yeah.
realize you don't have to keep the stress.
That's
Ultimately,
so
you don't
good.
have to
I
keep the
mean,
stress because
what that
it's your
says
choice.
to me is it's pulling you out of your primitive brain and into your thinking brain, which is already calming. That part of the brain can be organized and flowing. And that's an immediate way out of stress, is pulled into what am I thinking? What am I saying?
Yeah, yeah. It's the observer again, right? It's
Yeah,
it's
getting into
becoming
the observer.
aware that
Yeah.
that this thing that you're experiencing is a choice, really. It's a choice.
Yes, it's a
So,
choice. Oh, feeling like you have a choice in that moment is huge for
well, like the limbic
relieving
brain,
stress.
like you said, like in the past, it was necessary to have the stress because if there was a saber-toothed tiger chasing,
Right.
coming at you, you needed, you were going to get, the hormones going and you had to start
Mhm.
running and get out of the way. But now our stress is coming from things that are not going to kill us.
Right.
They are not going to kill us. They are, in fact, they're going to, if you could think of your stress as a bell ringing, here's another thing. We'll play
Oh,
Pavlov for a while. It's a
yeah.
bell ringing and it says, emergency, time to,
Yes.
stop. Let's look
Right.
at this, and instead of getting all crazy, you say, whoa, let's put the brakes on. And now I can
Is
look at it
there really
differently.
an emergency right now? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it really isn't. I can just chill out and, take a look at this and see where it's coming
Yeah.
you know
Nice. So where can people get the quick fix for stress relief?
I think what you could do is put it in the chat or what have you,
Like,
which would
yeah.
be going to www.marciagrace.com/quick fix,
Okay. Thank
and
you.
they'll get that there. And of course, I'm always open to having a chat with anyone.
Yeah,
If
if somebody feels like I really need your help with this, I don't just want your little book, I want to talk with you about how you could help me. How do they do that?
mg@marciagrace.com. Shoot
Okay.
me an email. Yeah, mg@marciagrace.com.
I'll
MAR.
put those in the
Chat.
comments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
that'll
Great.
be great. Any parting words about breaking stress eating and drinking specifically?
I believe that we are here to learn how to be peaceful. Coming
Mm,
into this world is not a peaceful event for the most, and it doesn't get much better after that,
right.
because because life is filled with challenges, what I like to call opportunities. I changed it. I took away the word challenge. I put the word opportunity in
Okay.
instead. Because again, the words we say are so important. How we
Okay.
speak
Yeah.
to ourselves is so important.
Yeah.
So I guess if I could leave, the thing I would leave people with is just become an observer of your thoughts. Notice
Mm,
what you're thinking, because you have the power to say, that's not helpful. I really
right.
don't want to think that. And I'm choosing to let it go and
Yeah.
replace it with a thought that's helpful to me. And maybe
Mm,
that thought is pick up the phone and call a friend. Maybe that thought is go take a
yeah.
walk. Maybe that thought is, call Dr. Ginny. Maybe that thought is, call Marcia Grace, whatever. But we have the choice. So
Right.
take advantage of it.
Even just saying to yourself in that moment, I can make a choice here, would already pull you a little bit out of the, it's going to make me pick up that food.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for taking time to help us understand this today. I love that you didn't just throw, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, because I felt like I hear there's 100 ideas what I can do. I don't want to do any of them. It's just easier to eat and drink.
Well, something, that's the last thing I want to say, is that I get to the root of the problem, because what I'm teaching you is that it's not about what you do. It's not the to do, it's the to be that matters.
Ooh,
You
yeah.
want to be, you want to acknowledge, you want to be peaceful. You want to be healthy.
Ooh, I
You want to
love that.
be loving. You want to be excited about life, and all the good things.
I love
And you
that.
can be that again because you can make a new choice.
Yeah.
Choice is it. Choice is it. And trust
Choice.
yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. When I say self with a capital S, which means your inner guide that nobody
Okay.
listens to, because that's the part of us that we listen to, that we hear it, and then we say, nah, later, or
Right.
oh, I can't, I can't do that, or I can't be bothered. But that's what you need to listen to. So
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. I love it's not what you do, it's who you be. If you want to be healthy, if you want to be peaceful, that will guide you toward choices that work out. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Oh, love it. Thank you so much.
My
It
pleasure.
was a
That was so
pleasure
much
having you
fun.
here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed being here, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you.